Hello and very welcome back to another episode of the Behind the Walls podcast with myself, Pete and
Ferg.
So following on from the massive success of our recent podcasts, we have made sure that we kept our finger on the pulse and that we bring in somebody that everybody's going to want to hear from. So this week we have the show director from the PTSB, yes, Ideal Home Show, which is on in the RDS from the 24th to 26th of April. So, Caitriona O'Connor, how are you?
Very good. Thank you so much for inviting me on.
No bother at all. So, Caitriona, the Ideal Home Show, or the PTSB Ideal Home Show, was going on for how many years at this stage?
We are just over 30 years going.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've been managing the show for the last 18
years managing. Wow, that's
18
amazing.
years. So it's always been a show. As a kid, my mum would have brought us all along to see the show, and she would have bought most of the things from the exhibitors directly.
Yeah.
I think it's a real Irish thing, isn't it? We like to buy from people and obviously know that it's a reputable company you're buying from.
So for the last 18 years, you've been involved in the show, and you must have seen a huge evolution from what people's, I suppose, what was their priorities back then, what the trends were. What are you seeing at the moment? Like what's hot at the moment in terms of is it upgrade or is it still, just wanting to fit the new kitchen?
Yeah, there's really been a shift we've noticed since the COVID times.
Okay.
Like after the COVID show was very much people were trying to save on energy bills, maybe weren't investing in bespoke pieces of furniture, and that's definitely changed in the last 2 years. Now we're seeing most of the people that are coming to the show are looking for home energy upgrades. Some are doing even some small upgrades to the home, like an attic conversion or insulation. And then we would have a lot of people as well that are coming for kitchen or bathroom retrofits.
Yeah, excellent. I actually had an exhibit, as you know, at the show. I think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2023 it was.
23, it was brilliant. The energy at the show was phenomenal, and the footfall was unreal.
Huge.
Yeah, but there was one thing that I definitely noticed, because obviously I had a scout around a couple of times while I was there, got to meet so many people, got to network with so many people. Yeah. But there's a huge variety of construction, I suppose, the facets of construction there. You must nearly touch on every element of construction at the show, in terms of there's windows, there's people about retrofit, there's people about energy upgrade, heat pumps, you name it. Are you seeing a huge spread in that direction?
Yeah, we always, I suppose, as a show try and have at least 3 to 4 exhibitors from each category so that it's spread. We'd have between 220 to 230 exhibitors per event, and it's on twice a year. And we'd find then that there'd be seasonal exhibitors as well. So for example, the spring show, which is coming up, we may have a lot of garden rooms and garden and outdoor products, saunas, steam rooms. They're all really big now as well for anyone that is doing a new home. A lot of them are actually doing steam rooms and saunas in the house. But what we try and do as much as we can is try and have a wide variety, so that anyone that is coming, regardless of what project stage you're at, if you're doing a new build, if you're doing an extension, if you're doing a home energy upgrade or a deep retrofit, that there's something there for everyone.
Yeah, excellent. I know you always get experts on,
and
it must be very hard each year to get a better expert and a better expert.
Yeah.
This year you've got the main man, the retrofit guy himself. Fergal's going to be there.
Do.
How did you manage to do that?
We're so excited to have you both at the show. 12:15.
I think I begged, to be honest, a few times.
We had to follow the schedule.
So when are we talking again? Is it 12?
So yours is Saturday at 12:15 on the Mitsubishi Electric Home Advice Theatre.
Excellent.
And that's a really good theatre for anyone that is doing a home energy upgrade, because you've talks there from the likes of SEAI, even Revenue are there for the Help to Buy scheme.
Ooh.
But for anyone that is doing a new build, it's very handy to be able to obviously get the grants from them. And then we have a lot of one-stop shops like yourself, Envirobead, Retrofit are going to be there. And then we'd have a lot of experts. So we have some specifiers on it. We have architects. We have an engineer on it. And we have also a lot of people talking about their own home projects that they did, which I think are great for anyone to kind of gain experience from. And I know even myself, when I was doing my own house retrofit, I felt it was great to get the advice and listen to some of the things that they were saying, because I never realised it was fabric first, that you have to look at inside the house, look at how it's insulated, look at the air tightness before you invest in any energy system. It makes so much sense.
We were talking there briefly beforehand, before the podcast, and I think the origins of what we're doing here, where that it's quite a complicated subject when you don't know anything about it, when you're starting from a very low base. And now we do think that most people out there have got themselves semi-educated, but then you get to the point where you're trying to figure out what the right decisions are. And our plan was to try and simplify that. And like, Ferg, you're going to be talking with myself at the event as well. I would always encourage people to put their hand up and ask.
Definitely.
Like, because it's such an important thing, isn't it, to be able to ask face to face?
Yeah, absolutely. And any information night or day that we were involved in, it's the questions and answers where people learn the most. And I the Ideal Homes is a great show for, you could go there to buy a cushion, a set of knives, or a heat pump
garlic
kind
crusher.
of thing.
Don't forget the garlic crusher. There's loads of them.
But it is a fantastic show from, like, literally from one end of the house to the other kind of thing. And the more information days and events that we have is obviously much better for our industry. I think people are a lot more aware now. I mean, we've often said it on this podcast that the reason we started the podcast was for homeowner awareness. Like, we're not pushing anything here. What we're trying to do is get the message out kind of what's available. We spoke on the last podcast about horror stories of people not knowing the process and losing out on grant funding because someone advised them badly. But these events are hugely beneficial. So as you said, there's a list of one-stop shops there. SEI are there. There's huge amount of information for people going there.
Most definitely.
So, like, if you were to say to who would you advise to go here? Down to if you're looking for a cushion or if you're looking for a home energy upgrade, the PTSB Ideal Home Show is the place to be.
Has it all, absolutely. So really what we try and do is we try and offer expert advice, ideas and inspiration for everyone, regardless what project you do. So we have the 3 theatres. So we have the Mitsubishi Electric Home Energy Advice Theatre, we have the DFS Interiors Theatre, and then we have the Dunstore Chef's Live, which is where all the men hang out. Literally. And then we have an area to the show, which is the Phone Watch Ask an Expert Hub, where actually I got my architect from. And it's really good because what you'll find is that you can get the free one-on-one advice from the associations and experts directly. And quite a lot of people then from it, depending on how they get on with the advice, can actually use the person that they've been dealing with for it. But the talks themselves are really informative. You'll find that a lot of people do ask questions. We always keep 5 minutes at the end for audience questions, because a lot of people do have questions. And then you'll have some people, probably like myself, who'll be too afraid to ask a question. And we'll kind of hover around the expert at the end and ask a question directly. But it's really great that you can have these areas at the show. People can get the expert advice they need. And based on that, like even when I listened to the podcast that you did with April from Mitsubishi Electric EcoDan, I learned so much about my own heat pump that I never knew about. And I love the fact that you guys do simplify everything down, because a lot of the time, I think, certainly for industry, a lot of people can use buzzwords and you haven't got a clue, but you're too embarrassed to ask what it is. And I love the fact that Pete breaks it down for people and explains what it is.
Pete doesn't allow buzzwords or acronyms or...
And some of the myths, I loved some of the myths that you were talking about, because a lot of them have come up and I didn't even know the answers to some. So it's brilliant. And I think that's what we love to offer at the show, that people can come, they can speak to people directly, because that's one thing during COVID everyone did miss, talking to people directly and getting that expert advice. And
again, have you spoken to people where they've made mistakes and they've kind of said to themselves, you know, how did I allow myself to get into that position? Have you any examples of stuff like that kind of happening?
Definitely. I have a friend actually who invested at least 15 grand in solar panels, didn't realise that had to apply for the grant before she got it all done. And also didn't realise that single glazed windows don't work very well with solar panels, because you're not airtight. The house itself wasn't airtight, so had to invest in a huge amount of insulation after getting that done, where she was probably more so thinking of like getting the instant water and things like that obviously we get from heat pumps. She didn't have a heat pump. But a lot of the time I think that people sometimes just jump in and don't actually, like SEAI website itself is fantastic and a really good support for anyone that needs those questions answered. It's the fabric first question, isn't it? And Fergal, you're the man to answer this as well. Like that example is exactly
why we set this podcast up, because when you hear of somebody spending that much money on what should be the cherry on top,
that's it.
Really,
that's it.
Am I right, Ferg?
That's the phrase, cherry on top for PV, always was. Yeah, and PV was always that. I suppose the problem now, or maybe not a problem, but it's great to see people doing anything proactive when it comes to energy efficiency. But I suppose when you look at it, electricity costs, it pushes people to installing PV because they can see a direct saving, but there's not much point in having all the heat escaping out through walls and windows and doors and having a big PV system, and again, PV systems are creating electricity.
Yeah.
And if you have an oil boiler, it's obviously it's oil, so when you go down the heat pump route, your whole house is electric.
Yes.
So then there's huge benefits from PV, but it's still the cherry on top move,
Yeah.
Can I just say that while Caitriona is complimenting there, I thought the first 12 years of the Ideal Homes was average. The last 18 were fantastic.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Oh, Fergal. Well done.
Thanks.
But it is so important, though, isn't it, that you do need to work from the outside in. It's not just aesthetic, what looks good, and heat pumps are fancy and everything else, but you need to make sure it's for the right house. And
tell you what, sorry, Pete, but I tell you what's hugely important while you mentioned that is that you go to something like this show and you listen to people that are in the game, and you don't listen on a Friday night to Johnny down in the pub who's telling you this is the way to get the grants, because they're the stories we're trying to avoid.
So
and it's great to have so much expertise in the one location. I mean, we're not promoting one or the other. I'm just saying that there's so many one-stop shops. There's so many people there that know what they're talking about.
Well, that's it. And like the fact that SEAI themselves are there, but then you have 6 of their registered one-stop shops.
Yes.
It's amazing because they take all the pain out of the paperwork. They get everything done for you. And that there's so many different checks that they're doing on it, that the work is being carried out to the highest.
Exactly.
It really is.
So in terms of other speakers, you might as well throw them out there. Who else have we got?
So we have Dermot Bannon, who's going to be speaking with...
What's his field of knowledge?
He's an architect from Room to Improve.
Sorry. Yeah,
he'll be there speaking with Mitsubishi Electric on his own retrofit journey that he did, and obviously had his heat pump installed in the house. We will be speaking with SCAI. We will be speaking with PTSB, who are going to be talking about some of their some of their mortgages that they have for anyone that is going to do a home energy upgrade. And we'll be talking to bathroom renovation companies. We'll be talking to architects, engineers. So,
and another subject that we covered on the podcast was the home energy upgrade loan scheme. Fuels. But anyway, so PTSB, among other lenders, are offering that. Something that homeowners can come and have a chat about that, about completing your home energy upgrade.
Yeah, absolutely. They'll be there on site, and the Strategic Banking Corporation of Ireland are also going to be doing some talks on the Home Advice Theatre. So it's great just to get all the information and then be able to go and do your own research afterwards.
So give us a little bit of a verbal plan of what's happening. So you're going to have the Home Advice Theatre, is that, or Pavilion, is that correct? Yeah,
so we have the Electric Ireland Super Homes Home Advice Pavilion.
Okay.
And that's going to be where everyone can come. They can talk to SEAI, one-stop shops, installation companies.
And that's at different exhibits, is it?
Yeah, so that's basically on the left-hand side of the hall, and then on the right-hand side in the Build and Extend section we have the Mitsubishi Electric Home Advice Theatre, and that's where all the talks will be taking place. And that's facing the EnviroBead retrofit stand.
Very good, very good. So good location, Fergal. Well done.
Great location, actually Simmons Court's a great location. It's plenty of parking. Handy to get to.
Eddie Rockets.
And Eddie Rockets, I forgot about that.
But I do think that's the beauty of the show, isn't it? Because it's the kind of thing that, I think if someone says to their partner, let's go to this, building show, one of the two people in the group are probably going, oh, well, look, you can go yourself. Whereas if they go to the Ideal Home Show, there's a good mix for everybody. You can spend some time looking at the construction side of things, the retrofit side of things, and then you've got so much more then as well.
Yeah, most definitely. Like it should cover every project. And then we also get people that love the kind of home accessories lifestyle section as well. And even going over watching Evan Maguire do his cooking, which makes us all feel that we have no idea about what we cook, is always amusing. But definitely in terms of advice, regardless of what plan you have or what project you're working on, I think it's amazing to go and get all the free advice, talk to the experts, utilize everything that you can at the show. And as you said, listen to the talks.
Yeah, and obviously, I think it's fair to say that we've identified that people have some knowledge.
Yeah.
So there's very few people out there with no knowledge. They've definitely, like, you know, everybody's heard of a heat pump. Everybody knows that they should have their attic insulated to start off with at the bare minimum, but that doesn't mean they have it done. They know they should have it done. And I think this, again, is one of those opportunities where they can kind of join the dots together a little bit as well. So they can actually speak to 2 or 3 different insulation suppliers. Yeah. You know, they can get different advice and make up their own mind based off certain things. And then they can also speak to the right people directly to get the right advice based off their current situation and the grants that's available to them as well, you know?
Yeah.
Because, again, when we're doing this podcast and when you see certain information, there's usually, you know, there's different criterias for qualification and things like that. Now, in general, you know, so everybody's available for something, but if you're unsure or if you can't make it out based off looking what you're looking at on the SEAI website or whoever you've spoken to previously, I think come to an event like this semi-prepared and just join the dots on a few things in a very relaxed environment as well, where you're able to, you know what I mean, just browse around and read the information and have a chat with somebody and you're speaking to somebody who's informed. I think it's a big thing, isn't it? And I know, Fergal, that's something that you've been certainly banging the drum on recently.
Yeah, absolutely. We were there for a few years where people used to come in with the plans of the house. We were going to settle in there and have a sandwich, and we were going to go through everything. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, take advantage of the expertise that's in the room is what I would say.
Yeah,
I think it's a hugely important thing, and it's that show always reminds me of, it's kind of like a day out.
Yeah, it is.
There's something for everyone there.
It is. Like most people would spend on average between 4 to 5 hours.
It's mad, isn't it?
Because there's so much to see.
There is, it is
there's
mad.
There's so much to see, and like there's a lot of impulse buys, I'm sure, at the event. Like you don't know until you actually see this garden room that actually that would be a great office for the back garden. Yeah. And modular homes and garden rooms are massive at the moment.
Yeah. Saunas,
steam rooms, absolutely.
And I suppose that everyone is very energy efficient.
Definitely.
Energy efficiency conscious at the minute.
Yeah.
And it's if you buy a house that's an F or a G or an E, you know that you're going to have to put something into it. So I think people, if they're lucky enough to buy a house, they're buying one with a budget in mind to upgrade it, you know. So
because it's the running of the home. It's not just the purchase of the homes, and it's, you know, obviously you want to upgrade it aesthetically and make it feel and look the way you want it. But the feel part of it is what we always focus on here: the fabric of the building and how you can make your home more energy efficient. Which, if you break it down, is basically how much is it going to cost you to run this home. And we look with the troubles that are going on, you know, between the superpowers that keep on popping up on our phones. Like energy bills are going up as we speak. And again, if you can switch to electric and have, you know, options that are available to you, you know, people may make a decision because, you know, like I've recently just got solar panels fitted to my own home, and I'm actually saying to myself, it's great timing because I would be able to get the benefits of using the solar panels when the weather gets a bit better. Yeah. And obviously now the fact that like oil, gas and electricity are definitely going to go up because of the wars that are going on, you know. So I think it's an opportunity for people to maybe to ask some very detailed questions about what their returns would be if they were to switch to solar. Again, you know, even if it's switching to an electric car as well, getting, you know, EV chargers fitted to the home and stuff like that as well. So I think like all of those questions are on people's minds, and going to a show where you've got, you know, several different people that can answer the questions for you, I think it's a great opportunity, isn't it? You know,
absolutely. It really is. And like I think as well, with all the grants that are out there at the moment, you'd be a fool not to use them and take them on board. Like we found now in the last few years, certainly more and more are investing in their home. Yeah. Very little are moving now. Where can you move to? There's very little houses to move to. So what they're doing is they're investing in their homes. They're, as you said, trying to make their homes as comfortable and as healthy as possible. Yeah. So if they have got an older home, they're obviously working from the inside out and getting all the insulation done, maybe changing the windows to double or triple glazed. And then they're obviously looking at the PV solar panels, the heat pump, which I think, like in an ideal world, everyone would have a heat pump and then be better for the environment. Yeah. It's better, obviously, on your pocket as well, more than anything.
Yeah, and there has been a big change in our thinking.
Yeah.
I think, like, when I started out in this game, houses were always location. But now everyone looks at the BER.
Oh, yeah.
The rating is important in terms of, like, the schools near you and all that are important, but if you're buying an F-rated house, you know that there's a substantial upgrade required.
Yeah.
Definitely.
A house on the same row years ago, the F and the B could have sold for the same price, which was madness.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
But now people can distinguish between it, and they know that there's not as much work to go into the B, or they're quite happy to sit in the B, that kind of thing.
And that's it.
It's a mindset, yeah.
But that's it. So you are actually investing in the long term as well, because,
Absolutely.
you know, for maybe 50 grand's worth of work, you're increasing the value of your house much more than that, and having the comfort.
Would you say, Caitriona, that you're finding that people, rather than moving house, they're happier to upgrade? Is that what we're saying here, isn't it? Like,
yeah, definitely.
So therefore, you know, to make those decisions, because I know what it's like myself, my wife sit down to make a decision based off what we're going to do. It's a process. It's not just a case of going, like, that's what we're going to do, you know, and we'll go for it. You have to consider what you're going to do and how much money it's going to cost, or do you move? And I think, you know, most people have kind of got to the point where they're happy enough in terms. Look, obviously there's certain people that will want to move house, but a lot of people, rather than moving to a home that's maybe a newer house, what they want to do is upgrade their home. Are you seeing that on the ground?
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay.
Even the people that are coming, as much as they're doing retrofit projects, which would be, you know, like bringing the house up to a different rating, as you said. We also have people that are coming, if they're looking for separate spaces in the back, they're looking into modular homes, they're looking into garden rooms, where they can actually have then that space that the kids can go, or a home office or a home gym. We're seeing that more and more. But I definitely think that just in the current situation as well, we're in a housing crisis. Not many people are going to sell a house to buy a new one that may not be in the area they want to live, may not have all the amenities that they have currently.
Yeah.
So definitely I think that people are investing much, much more. And cinema rooms are much busier now as well. Like, we have a smart tech area in the show as well. And there's a company from BlackRock called The Smarter Home. And to think what you can do on your phone is incredible, even from a security point of view. Yeah. If you're on holidays, you can turn your lights on. It's insane.
I'm actually afraid to go to the show now. I'm going to come home with a cinema room, a sauna, anything else.
I'll fit if you, don't worry. I'll give you a good price.
Thanks.
Outdoor living is a big thing as well, and I know the C word, COVID, is well behind us, thanks be to God, but it definitely forced us to go outside, and the amount of people that you know, did up their garden and built little bars and man caves and she caves, is that what they're called?
She
beans. Oh, I love it. She beans. I love it. Out the back, like that's still there. I think people still have understood that, you know, there's a space in their house that they space in their property, I should say, that they haven't been using. They've been focusing on the house, and now they're beginning to realise that you can bring the outdoors indoors. And a lot of new architecture does that as well, where, you know, that fella Dermot Bannon that you were talking about earlier on, like I worked with Dermot loads of times, and he loved bringing the outside space inside, still does it with big sliding doors, you know, and it gives you two things. It gives you the sense of the outdoor being part of the inside of the home, so it makes it feel bigger, but then also gives you accessibility to inside and outside as well. Is that something that you're seeing a lot, and is that something that, you know, people can see at the show? Yeah,
most definitely. So actually one of the exhibitors, which is outdoor.ie, they have a massive kitchen for outdoor, and they say, like, previously it would have been a thing where the guy would obviously want the barbecue and do his whole cooking outside and everything else, but these kitchens that they have, you're talking like 30 grand kitchens. But it really does make a feature of the outdoor. And actually one of the QSs that we work with at the show said most new builds now will have the sauna in their garden. You know, and previously that would have always been aspirational. But I think also since COVID, it's all about wellness now, and it's all about your well-being and making sure that your home is your sanctuary. So you have your sauna and your plunge pool. Have you ever
outdoor,
done the
outdoor living is great, but
the plunge pools are great,
Let's go back to the fabric first before you put the outdoor kitchen in.
Well, absolutely, and the most important thing is obviously insulating the home, having it all airtight, and then investing in a good
He's always just thinking about energy upgrade. I'm excited about this stuff.
I tell you, I the last time I was at the show, what's very impressive is those outdoor offices that you can actually walk in around.
Okay.
They're there on site, so they've moved on. They're outside houses now.
Yeah.
But what was an outdoor office would say, it's great to see them in reality kind of thing rather than,
It's amazing. Like, we have 8 modular home companies in the show.
Yeah.
And I think if government do bring in legislation that you can build one of these without
which
planning
they are
permission,
talking about now, yeah.
it would be amazing, wouldn't it,
Yeah,
when you think of
yeah.
it? Because a lot of people now, even what I was saying, that some people are maybe moving home to save the few bob for their own mortgage, and they still want that bit of space. It's great that they can do it, but a lot of them are being used for gyms, home offices.
Yeah.
I've seen some being used for children's playrooms.
Yeah,
With kids at the house.
Again, they usually have a multi-purpose because at certain periods of time in your life, so it could be an outdoor office, but then when kids get a bit older, it might be a space where they can have their own space outside, an outside gym area. If it's young kids, it's a play space. But it's the truth of it. But now, one thing I do always say to people is to make sure that you build it in such a way that it is also energy efficient, because there's no point in building. You remember people went through that era of putting conservatories on their home, and it was the same old thing where freezing cold during the winter, so literally the double doors got closed. Maybe a few bikes were thrown out into it, couldn't use it, and then during the summer, the first week or two of spring was okay, and then it just got too hot. So they had these spaces.
3rd-degree burns in the summer.
Literally.
But it was like
an unusable space.
Spending a lot of money on an unusable space, and I think people have just, I suppose, have learned from those mistakes. So insulation is a thing; it's real, and it will do both things. It'll keep the heat out and it'll keep the warmth in. So, I think people are beginning to understand these things. So if anyone is ever doing outside space, they should make sure that they take that into account as well.
Yeah. And ventilation. Ventilation is so important. I really think, and maybe it's also with the last 2 years, the weather's been a bit unsettled and we've had really hot summers and really cold winters, that we have 4 ventilation companies in the spring show, and they say it used to be primarily commercial, but now it's all residential. More and more people are getting ventilation systems.
We've done an excellent podcast on ventilation, and again, if anyone's listening, I would highly recommend that you go back and listen to not just the ventilation podcast. There's like evergreen podcasts that we've done that, there's huge amount of information in them. So if you're listening in and you haven't listened to some of our previous podcasts, please do go back to it. But the ventilation one was very eye-opening. And again, I just see this, and Fergal, you'd know more about it than I would, but I would see it all the time where I get called to a house and they go, I've got huge dampness in my room, and then when I go in, I can tell straight away it's condensation because they've blocked up the vent. Cold surfaces and then pumping hot air in, meeting the cold surfaces. That's just a recipe for condensation. What's your experience on that, Ferg?
Yeah, condensation mold, but also there's a danger in terms of people with stoves. Have a tendency to block vents, which should be permanent vents. Dangerous practice to do that. That's very serious. But ventilation, unfortunately, when it comes to, from my experience of quoting for home energy upgrades, when it comes to budgets, unfortunately, ventilation is the first
thing that gets cut.
First one that's gone because they don't see
the benefit.
As in, I suppose you have an option of natural ventilation, which is essentially a hole in the wall, as we know, Pete. And when you're running heat pumps, you don't want a hole in the wall. But it is the first thing that's gone. And they'd rather put the PV up again rather than the ventilation.
Because it's aesthetic, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a thing. It's a thing.
It's a real thing, keeping up with the Joneses as well. It's like, oh, look at them with their fancy PV panels. And inside it's probably freezing.
Could be.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what we don't want, as you were saying earlier.
Yeah. But ventilation is hugely important as the bottom line. And it does make a huge difference,
Yeah, very good, very good. So, I suppose, what's the trends that are happening at the moment? I know we've discussed the outdoor living. Is there anything else there that is worth chatting about now at the moment that people can tap into?
Really, obviously, the home energy upgrades would be massive for us, whether it be spring or whether it be autumn, because with spring, a lot of people are getting it done in time for the winter.
Yeah.
And then in autumn, some people are probably doing the planning then, because you get 8 months, isn't it, to use the SEAI grant? 12
months for one-stop shop, but 8 months for individual grants.
Yeah, so they're kind of nearly planning ahead, getting all the information they need and doing it then. So the home energy upgrades are massive for us. Obviously, kitchen renovations, bathroom refits is huge.
Yeah.
Because when you think of it, a kitchen as well can be aesthetic. You can just change the doors if you want. But a bathroom is a full job. And there's a lot of things that you need to consider doing a bathroom retrofit. And then smart homes. really getting big
Still
again.
a thing, yeah.
Yeah, really big, because we noticed like definitely about 10 years ago, everyone was about cinema rooms and entertainment rooms. And then I think COVID probably brought us all down to ground with a bang, that we all decided, well, actually, maybe we don't need them, and maybe we need to look at the comfort aspect to the house, which is really important.
And if we remember back to those times, obviously people were in their houses an awful lot more than they were used to being in their houses. The only good thing about that was actually the first year we had a great March and April.
That's
I
right.
remember sitting out in the garden.
Yeah.
So outdoor living again. But I think people did get a kind of a reality check in terms of how to use their homes.
Definitely.
Because the immediate family were there all the time.
Yeah.
No one was going out the door to work kind of thing.
That's it.
But and there's a lot of learnings from that, I know.
Yeah,
it wasn't a great
really
time
was.
for anyone, but there's a lot of learnings from it.
There was a lot of learnings, and I think that we nearly became to understand what we need in our homes more and more.
Yeah.
Like for some people, even what you were saying, maybe a garden room at the back is the solution to leave the house, go out to the gym, do whatever you need, have the home office, that you have that separate living.
Yeah, well, I also find as well, when I'm making any decision, and certainly see this in the show, the Home Rescue TV show that we do, it's what people don't need that they hold on to for too long as well, which is very important, you know, to sort of identify that. And I do think that maybe during the COVID time when people were at home, they were kind of going, I suppose people valued the footprint of their home more. And again, Dee, who does the show myself, Dee Coleman, who does the show myself, is really good at maximising the footprint of someone's home. And it's amazing when you actually clear out unnecessary clutter, get rid of that, and actually look at the space and you go, what is that unit ever used for? Usually stuff that was relevant 10 years ago was stuffed into the corner, and then something else is put on top of that, and something else is put on top of that again. The doors are then closed. And if you actually take the time to look at your own home and to clear out what you don't need, what is outdated, because the technology on most stuff that is 10 years old now is gone. And if you can clear those kind of things out and then bring in some new fresh ideas, fresh storage and fresh technology, it's phenomenal the difference that it makes to the whole home environment and the way you live and the way you use your home, you know. So
it really is,
again, I think again at the show there'll be loads of people with you know, clever storage solutions, all of those type of things, you know. Yeah.
Absolutely. And like even some of the room sets that we would see from the Interiors Association, just like what you were saying, like they wouldn't be too packed. It's very much, you know, like some small bits and pieces. Some of it still looks like it's not being lived in. Yeah. You know, like if it was in our houses, we'd probably have kids' things there and everything else. But I think that people now are trying to bring that kind of wellness part to their home as well. Almost like feng shui, where they're trying to have little is more. Yeah. And trying to keep it clean so that there's no fuss and you know, they can see everything clearly. They don't have to go and search.
Excellent stuff. So final question time, Fergal. What would you suggest to people going to the show, apart from coming and talking to you, of course?
For some reason, I love a good knife set. I love those the cooking demonstrations are great.
Yeah.
What would you?
But apart from that,
what would you advise people to take advantage of the show going?
I think the home energy upgrade, or the certainly the talks are always very good. Certainly ask the questions, and as Caitriona said, if you don't want to ask the question, anyone that's is talking at these events are always hanging around after. So if you want to go up to them after rather than asking a question at it, but it's basically to go there and get the information that you require. So don't be afraid to come up and ask. Like there's loads of expertise there. It's a full hub of home energy upgrade experts. Yeah. So I totally advise people, anyone that's even considering it, to come along and to get your information, do your research. Yeah. They're all there. So that's my advice on it, Pete.
Over to you, Caitriona. Last words, what do you think?
I would definitely think, regardless of what plan that you have, if it's a thing that you're doing a retrofit, bring images, if it's a thing that you have actually had a survey done, bring that with you so you have all that information. Yeah. Definitely talk to the experts, listen to the talks, and more than ever, I think just get all the information that you need to get you on that journey, because the grants are here now. They will be probably here for another few years, but they've obviously just increased it. They obviously have the new retrofit grant that's just been announced, and that natural retrofit will also cover windows. And maybe, you know, windows is something that people don't see as a priority, But they have to work fabric first. They have to get the windows done. They have to do all of that, make sure it's airtight, get the insulation done, and then look at a really good heating system. And there's so much choice at the show.
Absolutely, yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to cover? Anything else worth talking about?
I think it's just those areas that we just discussed,
but
really.
It's a great family day out as well, isn't it?
Oh,
that's the other thing I'd say, you know.
But it's great. We love that the families come because realistically, for any decision we make in the home, you both make that decision together. Yeah. Even if the women sometimes rule.
Well,
and we kind of say,
I was going to say,
this is the way to do it. It's good to have himself there to make that decision with you.
Well, yeah, to tell him what's happening.
To tell him what's happening, tell him when the fella's going to be out to do the job. And it's done. And I think that Irish people, we just love to build a relationship, buy from people, and when they're working with registered one-stop shops like Envirobid Retrofit, we know we can trust them. We know that you're going to be around in years to come. Yeah. God forbid if something was to happen. But there's so many checks done and everything now. It's fantastic.
Yeah. And then is there talks on each day as well?
Yeah. So of the 3 theatres, we have different talks every day.
Okay. And people can go to the website to see who's talking on what day?
Yeah. The theatre timetable will be up 2 weeks before the event.
Okay.
So they can see all the talks there.
What's the website there? Call it out.
www.idealhome.ie.
Very good.
Brilliant.
So again, I've been an exhibitor at the show. I've been a visitor as well. I think people, my advice would be to come as prepared as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Also try and give yourself the time to get around and go in there with a little plan in your head to get certain things done, and then with a little bit of an open mind to see what else is new and what else can explore and kind of learn a bit more from. It's absolutely the right time to start making decisions and being proactive, getting your grants, sorted in terms of knowing what you're actually eligible for. Do you want to go for a one-stop shop and combine a lot of grants and maximise the grants, or do you want to go the individual route? Sometimes people are undecided about what insulations they would like to use, again, the different types of windows. All of these kind of questions can be done. They can't be done in a half an hour run around the hall. You need a bit of time and a bit of preparation and a little bit of structure. And again, about the kids, I love having my kids with me when we're buying certain things because they're very honest. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
they'll just go,
definitely.
Daddy, I won't be able to climb up on that. So you're like going, she's actually dead right. And, stuff like that so as well, And
you were buying it for yourself.
I was, of course, But that's
you have to think of the family. Any decision you make is going to be, for the entire family. So I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah, so look, April the 24th to 26th.
Yes.
Myself and Ferg are going to be there on the Saturday. Saturday's the 25th, is it?
Yes, Saturday 25th at the Mitsubishi Electric Home Advice Theatre.
Ferg is going to be there every day.
Yeah, it's my birthday, so bring some birthday cake with you.
Cake.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you what age I am. But so look, a great event, and again, parking as always in the RDS in the Simmons Court area.
Yeah.
What would your advice be in terms of timing? Is there any sweet spot?
I always think so. The show's open on Friday 11 to 6 and Saturday and Sunday 10 to 6. Okay. I'm an early riser, so I'd be getting up early, getting in, doing all the kind of talks first, getting all the advice I need, and then going to the individual stands. Yeah. Because not all of the exhibitors will be doing talks. So I think it's important to kind of plan it in advance. We have a product finder on the website, so if you have a particular project in mind, say you're looking for a one-stop shop, you can go on and all of the one-stop shops will be there. So you can talk to every one of them, get the information you need. And I think it's like anything, even if you're looking for an architect, you go with the one you've good relationship with. Yeah. You find, I get on with him, he's going to give me good advice. Yeah. And I think that is how we do anything in life, isn't it?
And you'll know that from speaking to people.
Yeah.
But just on the timing again, I know the programme of the game will be released 2 weeks beforehand, but what time did the first talk start?
So the first talk starts at 10:15.
10:15, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Perfect.
And they'll be right up till 5:10.
At those exhibitions, usually you're going to have the business owner there. You'll have them, somebody from the management there as well. So you're actually able to speak, as you were saying, Fergal, straight face to face with somebody, and you get a feel for them. And then, did you met your architect at the?
I met my architect, at we have a Phone Watch Ask an Expert hub where you can get free one-on-one advice from experts and associations. And I had met 2 architects in advance of the show, and I met with him, and I just knew within 5 minutes he understood my vision. He knew what I needed. He was a passive house architect, which was amazing because I hadn't got a clue what I needed or what I should be using. And it's brilliant because just like that as well, when when we put the show on, we are really looking at every different aspect of the show to make sure we have experts from every area of Ireland. We'd have people from Kerry, from even Northern Ireland coming to the show, but we find that anyone that is there, they're looking to speak with people, get the information in layman's terms.
Yes.
Like, I love listening to your podcast because I'll be thinking something in my head and Pete will explain it to me. Because I won't know what the words mean, and no, but it's so true, and I think that sometimes like we are afraid to ask actually what does that mean.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're speaking with someone, certainly at a stand, you know, you're able to say, well, actually, what does that mean for me, or can you break that down for me? Yeah. And it's so much easier to do it. Whereas if you're just looking on websites, you don't know if that person's accredited. Now, obviously, if they're SEI registered, you know they've been through all the checks and...
Yeah.
I think researching anything, though, you can end up going down wormholes.
You can,
and
certainly.
You started off looking at cavity wall installation and now you're looking at wallpaper. It's just something that happens.
Yeah.
So, obviously talk to people and you'll build a rapport with people straight away.
Absolutely.
And as you said, you knew the architects understood you, and that's what happens when you meet different energy efficiency experts that... You'll find one to suit you. There's one for everyone in the audience.
There really is. And loads of the registered one-stop shops as well will have case studies from people that have had the work carried out, and maybe it's one of them that you can relate to their story, and it might be similar to yours. And quite a few of them as well. I know one of my friends, through one of the registered one-stop shops, went to one of the houses and was able to see the work that was carried out in the flesh. Because you know yourself, it's very hard to visualise.
So, Caitriona, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on board.
Thank you.
How do people get tickets?
Oh, you can register at the moment for complimentary tickets on idealhome.ie.
Okay.
And then closer to the event, you can buy tickets on the door.
Buy tickets on the door, excellent stuff. And again, the main website, give us that.
Idealhome.ie.
Idealhome.ie. All the information is there.
Yeah.
Go there. You can register at the moment for free, and you can see what's happening on each day.
Yes.
All of the details are there.
Yeah, so from the 12th of April, you'll be able to see all the theatre schedules, all the timetables, the full list of exhibitors, so you can plan your visit in advance.
So, Caitriona, thank you very much for coming along. It was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
So, folks, 24th, 26th of April, the PTSB Ideal Home Show is on in the RDS. As always, if you want to reach out to us and ask any questions, you can do that through all of the different platforms that we're on. And as I said earlier, make sure you go back, listen to a few of our previous podcasts. There's a huge amount of information out there that we've already recorded that is there for you to tap into. And as always, we will have lots more guests coming on board. If you want to see a guest, don't be afraid to put a comment in as to who you would like to have us having a chat with. So from myself, Fergal, and Caitriona, over and out.